When I died, the family members present at my deathbed closed my eyes and began to prepare my body for burial. My body was washed, and a coin was placed in my mouth so that I would be able to pay the boatman Charon to take me across the river Styx in the Underworld. For many noble and wealthy Romans, their bodies were put on display in a funeral wake so the public could come and mourn the deceased. But in my case, because I am female and because my family is not from the Roman nobility, my body will not be placed on display. My family plans for my funeral by hiring mourners. These mourners wear dull wool clothing, they do not wash or cut their nails, and they will lead my funeral procession. Oftentimes these mourners carry funeral masks because at Roman funerals the emphasis is not just on the life of the deceased, it is also on the achievements of his ancestors. So in my case, these mourners will wear masks that depict the faces of my ancestors who were of the nobility or served in public office or achieved great feats. Oftentimes these mourners play songs of grief on flutes, and as the body is taken on the funeral procession, the entourage heads out of the city because no burial can take place within a Roman city. Once the funeral procession has ended, my eulogy is read and my family performs my final funeral rites. In early Roman times, prior to the rise of Christianity, bodies were cremated and the ashes were placed in an urn and buried. Once Christianity began to rise in popularity and became the official religion of the Roman Empire, inhumation became a more popular means of dealing with the dead. But in my case, my body will be burned and cremated on a funeral pyre. Along with my body are burned offerings, such as food or drink sacrifices, because my family hopes that by offering these sacrifices, I will be able to send good fortune upon them from the afterlife. The Romans believed that the dead could affect the living. Once my body was burned, a family member gathered my ashes, placed them in an urn for burial. On my headstone was also inscribed a testament to my life, detailing my age and basic information about me. Following my funeral, my family members will mourn for set periods of time, ranging from 6 months to 1 year. For many Romans, a formal burial was too expensive. Oftentimes, poor Romans would embalm a body, place it in a casket, and then throw it into a public creek. But in some cases, Romans were able to pay into a society called the collegia, which was the Roman equivalent of life insurance. Poor Romans would make regular payments to the collegia, and then upon their death, the society would pay for their funeral expenses. Members of the collegia were buried in the columbarium, which was a space purchased by the society for burial. But in my case, my family can afford a proper burial. My body was cremated and my tombstone inscribed. When I died, my body entered the Roman Underworld, the place where the dead are judged and endure their eternal destinies. I was escorted to the river Styx, where I met Charon, the boatman who was to take me to the plain of judgment. The coin that my relatives placed in my mouth was used to pay Charon to take me across the river. On the other side of the river I met the 3-headed dog who guards the underworld. Now this dog is friendly for those that enter the underworld to be judged, but when shades, the ghosts of the dead, try to leave the underworld, the dog serves as a guard dog that keeps them in the underworld. On the plain of judgment I am judged by 3 judges, Minos, Aeacus, and Rhadamanthus. I have to give an account of my life, because in Roman religions, the dead are judged based on their works. After I have recounted my life, I am sent to the river Lethe to drink of its waters. This river is the river of forgetfulness, and when I drink of its waters, I forget my past life. Now, because I am not a warrior or a hero, I did not spend eternity in the Elysian fields. Because I have not offended the gods, I do get to spend my afterlife in the plain of asphodel, because I have been a good citizen. When I have been judged, I am turned into a shade, which is the Roman equivalent of a ghost. In some cases, the queen of the underworld decides that a dead person deserves to live their life again, especially in cases where a person was wrongfully murdered or abused during their life. In these cases, the deceased is given of the water of forgetfulness and sent back across the river Styx to live their life again. But this does not happen in my case, since I died of natural causes and was not unjustly murdered or abused in my real life on earth. I spend the rest of my afterlife living in the plain of asphodel.